In this first episode, we're going to meet Carmel, who's an amazing volunteer for a rescue organisation, and she already has her own established pack of 2 personal dogs, and she's bringing in a new foster. The foster's name is Pretzel, and her 2 personal dogs are Stan and Sylvie. Unfortunately, one evening, Sylvie guards Carmel and puts a puncture wound in the back of Pretzel's neck, so as you can imagine, this would cause quite a lot of anxiety for the owner, having those dogs together. You'll be a little bit uncertain about if that's ever going to happen again. So I was called in to provide a consultation and help solve this issue. So we've cut up an hour-long video to 10 to 15 minutes with me narrating over the top of the different exercises that we're practicing and about how projecting the right calm, assertive energy creates a nice balanced pack. All right, guys, here we go. So we've come in through the front door and I'm just practicing ignoring all the dogs. So if the first thing I did when I walked in was provide affection, then I'd just be rewarding the state of mind that the dogs are currently in. And as you can see from this video, all 3 dogs are very, very excited by the tails, the frantic licking, sniffing my crotch, jumping all over me. I've only got leashes in my pocket. That's what they're trying to get at. It's important for me to hold my own ground and not allow the dogs to push me backwards. Otherwise, they're not going to respect me as a pack leader, and it'll be a lot harder for me to create a calm state. Pretzel's the dog that I'm working with first, as he was the one that was jumping up on me the most. But it's also important that whilst I'm doing this, I've got to ask the other dogs to give me space. So we don't want all 3 dogs right next to each other whilst I'm trying to focus and keep Pretzel calm and relaxed. So they've got to give me some more space whilst we get him into that state. And then we choose the next most excited dog and help them into a calm state as well. But because it's a bit of a tricky situation having 3 in a pack and they're all excited, that's why it's useful to have a leash. So I'm going to use a leash here and also a leash later on. The goal of the slip leash is it goes up nice and high, right up behind the ears, and straight away he's already feeling the energy that I'm projecting through the leash, which is calm. If you're tense or you're excited or you're nervous when you're holding the leash, then the dog's not going to respect that. You're not going to be able to get a calm dog that way. Just there is protesting against the leash a little bit, but that's okay. I'm also trying not to keep the leash tense at all. The goal is that the leash is loose when they're showing the behavior that we want, which is staying sat, staying relaxed. The tails are lowering, not wagging quite as intensely, quite as crazily. Here we've put Sylvie on a leash as well, so we're going to expect the same thing from her. And the reward for both dogs when they're doing as we ask is freedom. So I'll just take them off the leash when they stay still and they stay calm. As you can see, after this shot here, we'll get both the dogs in the right position. And then I can start explaining to the owner how she can provide rules and boundaries within the house to create a balanced pack. A few signs you can see on the dogs there are yawning. So when the dogs are yawning, the brain is coming down, starting to relax. That's a real good sign. So you can totally see the difference in the energy of the room right now. So that's when I'm going to take the leashes off. And the kitchen is a good place to start providing some rules. So when Sylvie wants to head into the kitchen in a second, I'm going to use a verbal correction, and then when she ignores that, I'll just use a little soft touch on the back as if to say, hey, no, you're not allowed in here. So I'm creating the rules for the owner, and then it's her job to follow through with that. And by practicing rules and boundaries on a daily basis, that's how you get a balanced dog. In this case, we're trying to build a balanced pack. Here, she wants to go in the kitchen again, but just after a verbal correction from a distance, she shows that she's learned straight away, which is great. And then we finish this scene with all dogs in a nice calm position. Completely different than the beginning of the video. So we're moving on to creating some more rules in the house, and the owner doesn't want any dogs trying to climb up these stairs here. So she corrects Pretzel, moves over to move him down, but the problem is that she doesn't follow through, which later on in the video we'll explain about how to do that. If you don't follow through and you just ask your dog to stop doing whatever it is they're doing without a follow through, then they don't learn to never do it again. They only learn not to do it at this current point. Now comes the fun part where all the dogs just try to go all over the couches and the furniture, which is the next rule that we're going to be teaching, is you can't jump up on the furniture unless you've been invited. So here we're just asking him to come off. He's already starting to respect the owner a lot more. As you can see, she didn't have to touch his collar. He got the message straight away and jumped off. But there's still no follow through, so he's going to come back down and try again until all dogs have understood the message. There goes the next one and the next one. So here we're just asking them to come off. They're obviously very used to staying on the furniture, so that's why it's a bit trickier, and you just have to be patient. There's no rush for this. You know, you can't get frustrated, you can't try and rush it. Just take your time, ask the dog to come off and follow through until they're in a relaxed state where it is you want them to be, which for this situation is not the furniture. Nice. So right there was a verbal correction from Carmel, and the dog respected that and moved away. I'm just stepping in to help her because she's got 2 dogs up on the couches. She's trying there with a correction. He's stopped, but not quite listening. You can see that Carmel's a little bit hesitant in the beginning here when she's doing the corrections because it's quite new to her. So that's why the dogs aren't learning as quick. It's a process that you guys will learn with your dog. So don't expect them to do it straight away. Just learn with your dog. Take your time. There's the position you can see from Sylvie and Pretzel, which they're both sat and they're both relaxing and staying calm. That's the follow through. So that's what we call the follow through. When you ask a dog not to do something, you want to follow through until they're in a seated or lying down position, and that's when you can walk away and you start to get the message. This is all getting sped up because it's quite a long process, so we want to show the whole thing. So this is how long the follow through can take. So she's got to follow through with Pretzel everywhere he goes, helping him off the couch until he surrenders, until he gives up. So they're not allowed in the kitchen, not allowed on the furniture. Here she is waiting for him to surrender. So when he does sit and when he does lie down, boom, that's the follow through done, and the owner walks away. So here we're going to see Pretzel attempt to go up the stairs again, but this time Carmel corrects him from a distance just using her voice, which is a lot better than having to go over and use his collar, and he makes the choice to come down from the stairs. But he's a little bit confused now of what to do next, so he jumps on the couch, or the chair, sorry, which obviously we don't want. And then after she asks him to come off that, he starts getting a bit unsure. That's why he's going underneath something. So when a dog's going underneath the chairs or underneath a table, that's when they're starting to become nervous, unsure. So we just have to use the collar to invite him out. It's important that you're consistent, and as soon as he's come out, she lets go of the collar, which is what we want. We want him to make the choice to be around the dogs who are both relaxing nice and calm right now. And we get that here for a couple of seconds. Maybe he just lies down and then he gets up and does it again. And Carmel asks him to come out again, but you can see it's just a very light touch of the collar brings him out. And he goes back to the repeated behaviours of trying to go up the stairs or trying to jump up on the chair. And Carmel blocks both of them, corrects him there, and that's when he gets the message. So he's understood the message of, okay, I can't go up the stairs and I can't go on the couch, so she walks away. The goal is that he chooses to come and lie down with the pack without us having to bring him over there. We want the desire of wanting to be with the pack to draw that in. Instead, he came over, but he went under the chairs again, which is not great. So we're just going to block that behavior from Stan and invite him out from under the chairs. You can see just there that Carmel's stepping in to provide some leadership for Stan. And you can also see that it's possible to have a relaxing environment through consistent leadership, which is beneficial for the dogs and Carmel and anyone else who's going to be in the environment.